Great. So it's just a few minutes after 7. So we're going to kick off the next in our NEDTech series called Strong Women. And I've got two fantastically strong women, entrepreneurial women with me today, Harriet Noy of Hazaar and Natalie Furness of NIAM. And we're going to be talking to both of them about what they do, how they got involved in technology, and specifically how they got involved in GreenTech. But I'm just going to kick off with a brief introduction to myself. My name's Helen Disney. I'm going to be hosting this session tonight. I'm the CEO of Unblocked, which is a platform for information, events, and networking around blockchain and other frontier technologies. So I'm very interested in how technology can have an impact on our world, and sustainability and the environment is at the forefront of everyone's minds, not just because of the impact of COVID-19 and how that relates to how we treat our world, but also things like the proliferation of plastic waste in the oceans, climate change, all of the resources that we're using that maybe we could do a better job of reducing and making a smaller impact on the planet. So it's fantastic that we've got both Harriet and Natalie here with us today. I also like to thank Jane Thomason, who's listening in, who's my partner in these events, and the Ned Hotel Members Club, which is the one who have kind of partnered with us to help get all of this off the ground. Welcome, ladies. Great to see you here. I'm going to ask Harriet to start by just introducing herself briefly and tell us about what Hazaar is in a couple of sentences.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Harriet. I'm an economics student from the University of Birmingham. I founded Hazaar during my time during lockdown. Hazaar is a zero waste marketplace app for students. So students can basically sell anything from clothing to textbooks to household bits on our app. And we've completely cut out postage because at university, as you may know, students, often 30,000 students, can live within a mile radius of each other. So there's absolutely no need for postage. So on Hazaar, you buy online and then you meet up in person, you just hand over the item. So there's no wasteful packaging and there's no travel miles as well. So that's a bit about Hazaar.
It's absolutely fantastic idea. I mean, all of us are so familiar with the concept of getting these gigantic boxes from Amazon, stuffed with bits of paper, or those little noodly white things, which I really hate because my kids rip them up and they go all over the floor, or all kinds of bubble wrap, just it goes on and on. So I love the idea. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. I'm going to just pause that and ask Natalie to introduce herself as well before we get stuck into a bit more to Hazaar. So Natalie.
Thanks, Helen. Hi, everybody. My name's Natalie Furness, and I'm the founder and marketing and sales automation director of NIAM. I founded, again, this agency during lockdown. I think it's been an interesting time. Lots of people sort of coming together, lots of freelancers with not much work going on. And I was lucky enough to get in contact with a few amazing founders, and Harry is one of them who wanted to utilize our services. So what we do is we work with founders, COOs, chief marketing officers, head of sales, and we help them kind of create that story and then also automate the distribution of all content to their customer market. Some of the ways we do that is by building products like mobile apps, which is what we're helping Harriet with.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn to you, Harriet, and ask you, first of all, congratulations to both of you for starting up lockdown businesses. It's really encouraging and impressive to see what people have done with their time during such a difficult kind of circumstance in the outside world, but they've turned their creativity into creating innovative new ideas, and I really salute that. I think it's fantastic. So how did this idea come about for Hazaar? What was it that sort of kicked it off?
Yeah, well, I live in a house of 10 girls, and we're all parts of different sports teams, and every Tuesday night everyone needed a costume, and they'd all get on Amazon Prime and they'd be like, oh, I need, like, ordering a costume. The next day, as you said earlier, what Amazon's like, something this big comes in a box this big. So I thought that actually, like, because the themes like rotate around between the sports clubs, actually someone 2 doors down the road has that costume on their bedroom floor that they're never going to wear again. So there just needed to be a platform for students to buy and sell between each other. And then obviously, so when we started it, the idea was around sports night costumes, but then obviously there's textbooks, there's international students coming for 1 semester, buying a toaster, buying a kettle, and then leaving and not wanting to take that all the way back to, let's say, Hong Kong. So students have a lot of things that they actually could just buy and sell between each other without having to always buy things like first hand and order things and just buy second hand, really. Like, that's
I think I've still got both a vase and a teapot in my house that I took when a student friend of mine left the house that we lived in Bristol and moved to Italy, and I've still got them now, about 25 years later. So, you know,
and like the old dusty textbooks as well, just on your shelf that are just never going to be used again.
Yeah, I've still got a lot full of them.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and I think, you know, there's so many good examples of actually where it's really hard to get rid of things. You know, you can free cycle, but then you don't know exactly who's coming, and that's, you know, not everywhere has free cycle. Or, you know, you try and sell things on eBay, but then they're not very saleable. That's because they're very specific to, you know, someone who's doing a certain subject or a certain course. So I think, you know, the concept is brilliant. So how are you going to, you know, what's the vision for it? How are you going to expand it, and sort of where have you got to so far?
Yeah, so the app's in development at the moment with NIAM. So we launched all of our social media around 3 weeks ago with the aim of setting up Facebook pages, like Facebook marketplaces, and building them up prior to the app launch. So we've now got 35 different Facebook marketplaces at different unis, with 35 different head of Hazaars. So we have a representative at each uni who runs that Facebook page. And it's basically, the idea is that they build that up. So the membership's quite high, so that when the app's ready, people can then transfer across from the Facebook page onto the app. So at the moment we're building the community, and we're building hype around Hazaar, which has gone incredibly well. Actually, we've now got 10,000 students across our Facebook pages. The head of Hazaars, my goal was the week after we launched our social media just to have Hazaar at 2 universities, and by the end of the first week we were at 25 universities. And now, like, the head of Hazaars are they're so crucial to kind of the success of Hazaar, and it's growing. The community's growing rapidly. It's amazing. It's really nice.
That's fantastic. And I think decentralizing it and creating all these separate communities is such a good way to create kind of organic growth, and, you know, just allow each one to develop in its own kind of unique way. And so how are you, you know, how did you first get interested in sustainability? Because I know it's something that's of kind of great concern to most people, including especially to young people, but is it something that came through your studies, or?
Yeah, well, my cousin actually set up a company called Plastic-free. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're an online shop that sell tons of plastic-free products. And I worked for her over a summer 2 years ago, and got involved, like, working with a bit of like Surfers Against Sewage and everything. And then my friend and I were just walking around campus one day, and we just thought, there's so much plastic, like, this is just ridiculous. Like, all of the food outlets on campus, all of the cafes and everything's just plastic everywhere, single-use plastic, and it's just not necessary. So my friend and I set up a plastic-free society during our second year at university, working to reduce single-use plastic on campus. And to start off with, we targeted the staff. So we had meetings with the head of catering and the student union, and basically said, look, basically all of the catering outlets on campus takeaway options, even though most people would sit in. So there's all this just rubbish just constantly when it's not needed. So we suggested lots of alternatives there, and the same in the student union, by saying, look, you don't need these single-use cups. Why don't you implement reusable cups like they have at sports games? And then we partnered with the Canal and River Trust, and we were doing canal cleans, litter picks. And now we have 500 members of students all working to reduce single-use plastic on campus. And we've actually, last year, one of our biggest achievements was that a new building on campus was made completely plastic-free. So that was pretty awesome. So that kind of, I'd say my inspiration came from my cousin, because she's completely plastic-free, and she opened my eyes to that we don't actually all need to use loads of plastic, and there's alternatives for these kind of things.
Yeah, I think it's just starting to think about it, isn't it, some of the time? Because things like, you know, making packed lunches, if you have children, you end up wrapping the sandwiches every day in cling film, and actually it's just as easy and much nicer to use the wax wraps, but you just need someone to prompt you off to start doing that. I
think the key is like preparation. Like, if you know that you're going out and that you potentially are going to need a takeaway, just taking a little box with you and just saying, like, please, instead of serving me my chips in this polystyrene thing, do you mind just popping them in my tub? That's what my cousin used to do, and now that's what, like, myself and my friends do all the time.
Yeah, my sister brings her own cutlery everywhere. She's got a little sort of pouch that she brings with a knife and fork, so that she's not getting, you know, even wooden cutlery is not that good, but plastic cutlery is obviously worse. So
I mean,
so
people
many
do
things that we can do.
So the population now, like people, it's quite normal to have your own coffee cup, isn't it? And take it into Costa. So hopefully in the near future that will be the same with most things.
Yeah, I think everyone's gradually changing their habits. So I just wanted to talk to you a bit about, the support you've got and how you met Natalie, because obviously it's not that easy a thing to do to set up a business when you're already studying for a degree, and you said there's 10 of you living in a house, and I presume, your rooms are fairly small. So how have you managed to kind of start this business from not even your kitchen table, from your student bedroom?
I've always been very big at networking. I've always gone to lots of startup events and been building my network up, because I've always wanted to work in startups but never had a business idea. So it was almost kind of without realizing, I felt like I was like equipping myself for when the idea actually came. So when I first got the idea, I kind of had a lot of people in the tech space to kind of talk to about it and get advice from. As for how Natty and I got in touch, at the time I was looking to design my app all by myself and then just do all the UX and everything myself. And I saw that Natalie did a LinkedIn post saying that she was happy to give like app designers half an hour free of her time to look over this app design and like check over the UX and stuff. And I thought, oh my god, amazing! Like maybe she can help me with my UX, because I'm not very experienced in it. So we had a call, didn't we, Natalie?
Yeah.
As soon as I got off the call, I was like, okay, I want to work with Natalie.
Yeah, it was quite insane actually, because I remember when we first met, you basically wanted someone to do the whole thing, and I pretty much told you that we couldn't do that. We just specialized in the digital design and the UX and all those sorts of things. But there was, I don't know, there was just something about you. I think, it's when you kind of click, isn't it? Like you kind of have a really similar way of thinking. I'd just been so impressed by the way that Harriet had actually built her community before she was even thinking about launching anything. So I said, we can definitely do the design stuff, but I don't know about the development. And it was actually that prompted me to go and reach out to my network. And we've now onboarded a full-time developer who now we've had the UX design and the development team that's kind of ended up managing it all. So I kind of have to thank Harriet for that, kind of pushing me to go out and build my team to serve her.
Oh, yeah, no, it was amazing. Like I remember, whenever I'd get off calls with developers, I always send like one of my best friends a voice note just explaining what happened. And when I said about like that I'd met Natalie and I said about what her team could offer and everything, I remember my friend just being like, okay, Harry, I think this is the right one, because I was speaking with so many app developers at the time, and it's quite daunting when you're not experienced in tech yourself. Like I've done an economics degree, I don't know too much about tech, so trying to suss out if someone's actually right for the job was actually quite challenging for me. So like with Natalie, it just felt right, and I'm no regrets. It's all good.
No,
it sounds very serendipitous, and I wanted to kind of ask on that note about mentoring, because I know that Natalie in the past has been involved in setting up mentorship schemes for particularly young women wanting to get into tech careers, and I've done some mentoring through the Women in Tech Revolution group that she set up. So how important is that for you as a kind of a young entrepreneur to have mentors who can help guide you, because you're going to have all kinds of different, exciting things happening, but also challenges as you try and grow the business.
The mentors I have are absolutely incredible, and I could not do anything that I'm doing without my mentors. I've got my main mentors, a man called Dan Turner, who has been kind of with me through the start, and he's had 2 startups himself and 2 very successful startups, and he like any problem, any big thing, that he helps me with a lot. And the lady that ended up investing in the company as well, she's like a very, very like important kind of person in the business as well. And then Natalie helps a lot as well. So I feel very lucky with the amount of support that I've had with Hazaar, and mentors. Just I don't know, like advise people my age setting up a business would just be get some mentors. And it's not like the ones that I've had, it's not like you go out looking for them, it just kind of happens. They buy into you, they love what you're doing, and they can see your drive. And that almost, when you're having down days, when you feel I've had days when I'm feeling a bit demoralized, like, oh no, what am I doing? Like the fact that you've got these people that are like pushing you on and like believe in you just really helps a lot.
I know from my own experience, it is that sort of thing. It's a roller coaster of emotions when you work for yourself and you don't have a boss or somebody else, you know, or really at the beginning other colleagues who you can sort of troubleshoot things with. So just having someone, as you say, to just boost you up and just say, come on, you can do it. And I'll give you some guidance on something, but, you know, really just giving you that push to just say, tomorrow will be better, have a good night's sleep, you know, it'll kind of look easier in the morning, you'll come up with another solution.
Yeah, and sorry, I was going to say the unique thing about working with Harriet, and as you mentioned, Helen, that I've run a few sort of mentorship programs before myself, and there's a difference between somebody who takes your information and thinks about it compared to somebody who takes your information, thinks about it, applies it, and does it yesterday. And that's what it's like partnering and sort of helping Harriet is, you know, she takes everything and she asks so many questions, and people often think it's wrong to ask questions, where I say there's no such thing as a bad question. And every week Harriet's asking new questions, trying to learn more, trying to understand how to position her business better. And it's those types of people that draw mentors towards them. So Harriet, I think, you know, you have to bear in mind that it is very much you that's drawing the mentors towards you as well. And that's why we believe
it's often a two-way street. You know, people will see someone and think, oh, I'd actually really like to mentor that person because I can really see their talent, and it would give me pleasure to see them grow and develop. And, you know, I get something from that too. It's not just the mentee that gets something, but the mentor gets a lot from it as well. Yeah. So, I mean, that's fantastic. And I know that you've had this kind of incredible sort of viral expansion. So tell us about that. You got to, I think it was 35 universities within the space of about a fortnight. So how did you pull that off? I mean, that's just an incredible success.
Yeah, it was just, I think just because I think the beauty of Hazaar is that because we're working as, I'm a student making a product for students. I have easy access into the student market. So just by me posting something on Instagram and like on social media and getting my friends to then share it, it just reaches our audience straight away. So with the head of Hazaar's, I just put out something on social media saying, well, if you're interested in being a head of Hazaar at your uni and you want to kind of, with my guidance, we can all work as a team and we'll get it to your uni, get in touch. And just people were just getting in touch. And the thing, I didn't have like an application process or anything for me. Like people that were messaging me going, I love Hazaar, I love what you're doing, can I get involved? I'm like, of course you can. Like, and even once like positions were filled, like with Leeds, I had 10 people asked to be head of Hazaar. So once it was filled, I felt bad saying to people like, can't get involved. But like people that I didn't have a position for, I'd be like, okay, well, are you good at TikTok? Do you want to run our TikTok? Do you want to write a blog for us? Do you want to help making us a video campaign? Do you want to just anything? Like I just wanted everyone to be involved because it was so, the buzz we have around it is just so exciting. And it's just like, I love just having everyone involved. And it feels like a very, even though it's like my business, I suppose it doesn't feel like my business. It just feels like I don't know, it sounds weird, but kind of like share it with all the community.
Well, I think you've probably found the holy grail there, because if it's something that you love doing and you would do anyway, even if you'd never got paid for it, you know, that's kind of something that a lot of people search their whole lives to find, and well, some people never find it. So, you know, that's already a huge part of running a mission-driven company. And also not wasting opportunity. I mean, if people come and you don't have a role for them, how can you get them engaged? You know, you're not wasting resources. People are offering you their time, which is a huge resource. So, you know, the fact that you're able to do that, and that people, particularly your age, are so familiar with all the different social media channels and they know how to create engaging content. You've got essentially, you know, thousands of content creators all creating content that relates to what you do, which is really cool.
The students are all looking to kind of get stuff on their CV and their LinkedIn as well, so it works in both of our favors. Like when they've all updated their LinkedIn title to head of Hazaar Nottingham, it looks quite cool and they all love it because it's, I don't know, it's a huge thing that they're doing. Like, so it's kind of benefits us both, I think.
And I just wanted to come to Natalie, because obviously this is a business that has the potential to really scale and be significant in terms of its kind of social impact, but also in terms of its business objectives. How do you feel the climate is for raising investment right now in this sort of COVID era? Because I mean, certainly for me at the beginning period, it seemed like, from what everyone I was speaking to in the investment community was saying, that, you know, it was very difficult for startups to get investment.
In terms of investment, and I think, again, Harriet can correct me if I'm wrong with this, is that she's actually almost getting to the point that she's got a lot of investors contacting her now, and actually offering her opportunities. And I think again, investment all comes down to sort of what market you're in and what investors are looking to look at. And we know that social impact is really, really big in terms of investment at the minute. There's been sort of a lot of push towards investing in social sustainable businesses, and I don't think you can get much more socially sustainable than Hazaar. So I think that's sort of a great sort of point for Hazaar, and we've really, really focused on that being at the forefront of the company in all the communications and all of the branding and anything that she's released. And I'm not sure that Harriet, is investment at the forefront of your mind right now, or is that something that you're looking at doing later down the line? Or I think it's best for me to sort of reflect this back to Harriet.
Yeah, I would say it's not really at the forefront of my mind at the moment, but it is something that we'll be looking to do in the next 3 to 4 months, I think. But it's not something that I'd say I'm completely actioning at the moment.
I think the main struggle that companies have when they are raising for funds is that they haven't necessarily capitalized on what you can do before you have a product. So there is so many opportunities for people to build their digital community, for them to put up a landing page and put pre-registrations out before things are built, to then actually use that community to help drive the production of their product. I think if more businesses did that and then took that sort of evidence of traction into investment meetings, I think they would all succeed a lot better than people that are focusing their funds 100% on product and very little on sort of the marketing side.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. It was reminding me of, don't know if anybody else on the call listens to Side Hustle School as a podcast, but they kind of do all these interesting stories about people who've got different types of side hustles. And one of them was this lady who, she had a child that had a kind of special dietary issue. And she started kind of crowdsourcing recipes from other people who had this illness, who had this issue. And she sort of created this whole crowdsourced recipe book. And then she just created a web page and she put up, saying, sign up if you want to get my book. She hadn't really created the book or anything. She just got all these recipes on her computer. And, she got hundreds and thousands of people starting to sign up for this recipe book. And so she was kind of like, well, now I better make the book because I've got so many people who want the book. So basically she created her customer base just by a simple website with an email, slot to put your email in. And she sold, a few thousand copies of the book straight off the bat, and she hadn't even created the book, So.
Yeah, it's kind of my mantra is like, or the question I always ask founders that I work with is, would you rather have a finished product and no paying customers, or customers ready to pay but no product yet?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do the second than the first.
Exactly. You have to be driven. You have to be able to catch up with the demand. I mean, Harriet knew that she had the demand. I don't think we've even touched on this when she set up her original Facebook group. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Harriet?
Yeah. So as part of the Plastic-free Society, when I first had the idea back in January, we set up a Facebook marketplace at the University of Birmingham, and within about 4 days had like 3,500 members. And in between the period of when we set it up in January to when students had to go home because of COVID, around £14,000 worth of things were sold on that page, which I think that kind of proof of concept helped me get investment and helped draw people to the idea, because it's like, we've done it in Birmingham, like I've researched it, I've spoken to my friends at other unis, there's nothing like this about, we can bash it out at other unis, like, so that helped. I think that helped a lot. And the fact that we got those 4,000 members spending absolutely £0, like not a penny on marketing, just by sharing it on, like at university there's Facebook pages that all students are a part of, which have around like 30,000 members. So if you just post it in them and you get like, you get all your friends and everything to like it and comment, like the algorithm makes it go to the top of everyone's page. So I remember sitting the day after we set up that Facebook page, sitting in the library and hearing people go like, have you heard of this? Have you heard of this? And I was just sat there really smug in my chair. Like, I actually didn't. So over the summer, I didn't have any exams or anything, which I had like 3 part-time jobs. So it was more like balancing the jobs with.
Right. Yeah.
But now I am a bit nervous about how I'm going to balance the two, especially because I really find my degree really hard and don't enjoy it. So, and especially because with Hazaar, I love doing it. So my priority, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I want to do Hazaar, but I've got lectures on economic theory to do. Oh my God. I suppose I would say the main difficulty I had was trying to find an app developer. Because obviously when I started out, I didn't have any money. So I went down the route of trying to find a computer science student to do it with me. So to have a co-founder, that just didn't work because they just didn't have the same drive kind of as me. They didn't love it. They didn't love the business as much as me. And it was just a computer science student, although they've made apps in their lectures, they can't build an app to the same kind of level as a professional can. So then from going with a computer science student, I then had I was lined up with an app developer who was like kind of like a friend of a friend, and that didn't work out. They just turned out to just not be very nice, and that was a really big obstacle. That was probably the hardest hit that I've had actually with setting up Hazaar. Just this app developer who just turned out to just not be very nice, and it really like knocked me down. But that's when like my mentor and like Karen, the investor, was so key, because she like it was partly my fault, and the way I looked at it was like it was his fault, and she just said, actually Harriet, like yes, it's all going to be okay, but it's really important that you reflect on this experience, because you've not got an app developer, and obviously you're going to find someone, but in the future you might lose more than an app developer. So actually like that self-reflection and her making me take a step back and look at the situation was hugely beneficial. But then now I look like, had that experience not have happened, so I wouldn't know Nasty, wouldn't be working with NIAM. So like it's all kind of worked out well, and I'm really, really glad that it happened in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, I think people problems is probably the biggest issue for any entrepreneur. There's always going to be times where you desperately want to hire someone for a very significant role, and then it doesn't work out, and obviously the fallout from that can be quite painful, whether it ends up being financial or in personal relationship or sometimes legal. So yeah, taking time to get exactly the right people, and knowing that you're not always going to get it right, because it's not an exact science, human nature and how people actually perform in a job as opposed to what they seem like at the beginning is hard to predict.
I think I put some time pressure to start off with as well, because I wanted the app to launch in September in line with students going back to university. So that time pressure that I put on myself meant that I was jumping into things with app developers before I actually was ready. But then once I just realised, kind of took a step back and thought, how important is it that it launches in September? Actually not that important. We can still build the community prior to it launching. And we've had having the Facebook pages has actually brought us so many interesting insights. For example, like we were going to have every university in a city, like every university having their own marketplace, but universities such as Leeds, where they've got University of Leeds and Leeds Beckett very close to each other, we've actually found that they should join together and be in the same marketplace, which had we have not made these Facebook pages, we wouldn't be able to do with the app. So I'm quite glad that I think it's worked out perfectly.